Welcome to the Business English Podcast, where we help non-native English professionals enhance their business communication skills. Have you ever been in a meeting that seems to go off on a tangent, wasting everybody's time? Or maybe you're presenting an idea and suddenly the discussion veers off course, leaving you scrambling to regain focus. If you have faced these challenges, you're in the right place. In today's episode, we'll be diving into advanced ways to bring the conversation back on track. You'll learn 6 professional phrases that can help you steer any discussion back to the main point, ensuring that your meetings, presentations, and networking events are productive and, of course, on point. As always, we'll start with some key principles and techniques to keep in mind when redirecting those conversations. Then I'll introduce you to the specific phrases you can use, complete with examples to show you how they work in real professional scenarios. Finally, we'll wrap up with some essential tips to ensure you're using these phrases effectively. So, are you ready to take control of your business conversations? Let's get started and make sure you never lose track of your discussions again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Business English Podcast, helping professionals communicate more effectively, more confidently, and with impact. With your host, Rob, from Energetic English. Let's get down to business. Now, before we jump into the specific phrases, as always, it's important to understand the principles and techniques that will make these phrases effective in a professional setting. Imagine you're in a critical meeting and suddenly the discussion starts drifting off topic. I know we've all been there. How do you steer it back without ruffling any feathers? Great expression there. It all starts with understanding why it's crucial to maintain focus. First and foremost, keeping the discussion on track ensures productivity. Every minute in a meeting is valuable, and we want to make sure it's used effectively. By steering conversations back to the main point, you help everyone stay aligned with the meeting's objectives. Now, you might wonder, how do I do this without sounding rude? The key here is to be polite and diplomatic. It's all about the tone and the choice of the words you use. You want to redirect the conversation in a way that feels natural and respectful to everyone involved. Another vital technique is to use clear and concise language. Ambiguity can lead to more confusion and derail the conversation even further. When you use precise language, it makes it easier for everyone to understand the direction you're aiming for. So how do you bring all of these elements together? Think about the last time you were in a discussion that went off the rails. What could you have said to bring the conversation back on track? Keep that situation in mind as we move forward, because you'll soon have the tools to handle it better. In just a moment, we're going to get into the specific phrases you can use to redirect conversations effectively. Trust me, these phrases are game changers, and once you master them, you'll wonder how you ever managed without them. But first, let's solidify these principles in your mind. Maintain focus, be polite and diplomatic, and use clear and concise language. Right, ready to learn those powerful phrases? Let's keep going. Right, let's get into the crunchy stuff on today's episode. Those powerful phrases that will allow you to bring the conversation back on track. Let's get into it. Phrase 1. Let's circle back to the main point. Repeat after me. Let's circle back to the main point. Use this phrase when you notice the discussion has veered off topic and you want to return to the main agenda. Imagine you're in a project meeting and the conversation starts drifting into unrelated personal anecdotes. You could say, let's circle back to the main point of the client feedback we received. This phrase helps gently guide everyone back to the critical issue at hand. Phrase 2. I think we're getting a bit sidetracked. Can we revisit? Repeat after me. I think we're getting a bit sidetracked. Can we revisit? This phrase is useful when the conversation has diverged and you need to bring it back gently. For example, in a team brainstorming session where ideas are moving away from the objective, you might say, I think we're getting a bit sidetracked. Can we revisit our primary goal of increasing Q3 sales? This helps refocus the group without dismissing their input. Phrase 3. Just to steer us back on course, let's discuss. Repeat after me. Just to steer us back on course, let's discuss. This is a diplomatic way to guide the discussion back to the relevant topic. Picture a strategic planning meeting where someone brings up a minor detail. You could inject with, just to steer us back on course, let's discuss our long-term strategy for market expansion. This keeps the focus on the bigger picture. Phrase 4. Before we go too far off track, let's revisit. Repeat after me. Before we go too far off track, let's revisit. Use this when the conversation is starting to drift but hasn't gone too far yet. In a budget meeting, if side issues arise, you might say, before we go too far off track, let's revisit the proposed expenses for the new project. This phrase nips distractions in the bud before they derail the conversation completely. Phrase 5. Can we park that idea for a moment and return to? Repeat after me. Can we park that idea for a moment and return to? This is effective for temporarily setting aside off-topic ideas to focus on the main discussion. During a status update, if someone brings up a different project, you could say, can we park that idea for a moment and return to our current project's timeline? This acknowledges the idea while keeping the focus where it needs to be. Phrase 6. Let's not lose sight of what we were originally discussing. Repeat after me. Let's not lose sight of what we were originally discussing. This phrase emphasizes the importance of sticking to the original topic. In a high-profile meeting with stakeholders, you might say, let's not lose sight of what we were originally discussing, the impact of our new policy changes. This phrase is particularly useful in maintaining the core focus during crucial discussions. So, those are the 6 phrases that can help you steer any conversation back on track. Remember, it's not just about what you say, but how you say it. Use these phrases with confidence and clarity, and you'll notice a significant improvement in the productivity of your discussions. But we're not done yet. As usual, stick around for some final tips to ensure you're using these phrases most effectively. So, we've just covered 6 powerful phrases to help you keep your business conversations on track. Now, let's wrap things up with some key final tips to ensure you're using these phrases most effectively. First and foremost, be respectful. Redirecting a conversation can be tricky, and it's essential to do it in a way that doesn't make others feel shut down or ignored. Always acknowledge the contributions of others before steering the discussion back. For example, that's an interesting point, and I think it could be valuable. Let's circle back to the main topic and discuss that later. Another crucial tip is to stay calm and composed. When you notice a conversation drifting off course, it can be tempting to jump in and correct it immediately. However, it's important to approach this calmly to avoid creating tension. A calm demeanor helps maintain a positive atmosphere and makes your redirection seem less abrupt. Active listening is also vital. To effectively bring a conversation back on track, you need to be fully engaged and understand where the discussion is heading. By actively listening, you can inject at the right moment with one of the phrases we've discussed, ensuring your timing is spot on. So here's a question for you. Have you ever been in a situation where redirecting the conversation didn't go as planned? Think about what you could do differently next time with these new phrases and tips. Keep that scenario in mind as you practice these techniques in your future meetings. And finally, practice makes perfect. If you're a long-time follower of the podcast, then you'll know that we use this one a lot, but it is so true. The more you use these phrases, the more natural they will feel. Try them out in different settings, meetings, presentations, networking events, and observe the reactions. Adjust your approach based on the feedback you get and continue refining your technique. Remember, it's all about maintaining a balance between guiding the conversation and respecting everyone's input. When done correctly, you'll find your meetings are more focused, your presentations are clearer, and your networking conversations are, of course, more productive. So, are you ready to take control of your business conversations and keep them on track? Give these tips a try and watch how they transform your professional interactions. And that just about does it for today's episode of the Business English Podcast. I hope you found our discussion on advanced ways to bring the conversation back on track both insightful and practical. Before you go, remember to subscribe to the Business English Podcast so you never miss an episode. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review and share it with your colleagues. Your feedback helps us improve and reach more professionals like you who are eager to enhance their business communication skills. If you have a topic that you'd like us to cover or a question about business English in general, reach out to us through our website or social media channels. We're always looking for new ways to help you succeed. Thanks for listening, and until next time, keep your conversations focused and, of course, keep it strictly business. You have been listening to the Business English Podcast. Remember to subscribe, leave a review, and we'll see you next time.